Now, across Texas, the issue is.
I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas.
I'm Greg Grugan in Houston.
I'm Rudy Koski in Austin, and this is Texas, the issue is.
The first week of early voting in Texas is in the books, and we have another week to go. Both campaigns have tapped some billionaires to hit the campaign trail for them. I spoke to one of them, former Dallas Mavs majority owner Mark Cuban, about his support for Kamala Harris.
Is Kamala Harris going to be the next president of the United States of America?
Mark, what made you say, I need to get involved this election cycle? I mean, I haven't seen you out there like you are now.
I think this election is very important. I think we all feel that way. And I just think Kamala Harris is a far better candidate. And I want to see it, try to help her win as much as I can.
The presidential campaigns have had a share of star power, but down the final stretch, the tech bros have gotten involved. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, backing former President Donald Trump.
I think this election, I think it's the most important election of our lifetime.
Dallas billionaire Mark Cuban is backing Vice President Kamala Harris. Every time I look on Twitter, you are responding to, would you call him a colleague, Elon Musk? Kind of talk about the interest from the tech world getting involved in these campaigns.
I don't know that it's any different than in the past. I think some people are surprised that they're supporting Donald Trump. I'm surprised they're supporting Donald Trump. I don't think Trump really understands anything about tech. I don't think he makes any effort to learn. On the other hand, Kamala Harris really does understand. I literally had a conversation with her the other day about machine learning and AI and using it for more efficient government and cutting costs. So maybe it's because the tech bros think that they can manipulate Donald because he doesn't understand tech at all.
Elon Musk has donated $70 million to the America PAC. The PAC streamed a town hall with Musk in Pittsburgh on October 20th.
They claim they're tolerant, and yet they're incredibly intolerant, and spewing hate and engaging in politics are not what I want to do. I do not have a death wish, but the stakes are so high that I feel I have no choice but to do it. Democrats have tried to stress the fact that the economy has gotten better. Why do you think that's not sticking with a lot of Americans?
I'm not a Democrat. I don't think the campaign goes out there and talks enough about it. You know, they're too wordy. It's just like they should be just a minute after minute after minute. The economy is good. We're seeing record stock market. We're seeing record wages, record GDP, record growth. There's just so many elements that make this a really fantastic market. But I also understand that not everybody's participating. And so we also have to communicate with those people. And that's a little bit harder.
Why do you think some are still on the fence then? If it's such a contrast that you and others have made the argument for, why do you think her message isn't resonating with some?
Because it's only been 12 weeks. You know, some people just take longer, you know, and I understand why they're up in the air, but I've gotten involved because I think she's better for the middle class. I think she's better for small and medium-sized businesses. You know, there's 33 million businesses in this country, and most of them are pass-through small businesses. And for almost all of them, let's say all but 1%, her commitment to not raise taxes for anybody making $400,000 or less, and in fact to lower taxes for 100 million of them, that's great for small business.
You recently gave up your majority ownership of the Mavs to someone who's supporting Donald Trump. Is that sending mixed messages to people who?
Do you know how everybody's voting that you work with? Do you know how the owners of your company are voting? You know, it's just, this is America. People get to choose their candidates and vote for who they want, and that's what makes it amazing. And I think Kamala Harris is by far the best candidate. And, you know, I've talked to my partners about it, and they don't have an issue. They choose what they choose, you know. But vote for Kamala Harris. She's great for Texas. She's great for Dallas. I think she's great for Americans.
What will this race come down to?
I think it's going to be get out the vote. Who gets people out to vote? You know, the Trump campaign basically handed it over to Elon Musk. They couldn't even do a good job. They needed Elon to try to come in and save them. The Harris campaign has an amazing get out the vote campaign and get out the vote team, and they've been working really hard together. And I think, you know, hopefully they're going to get a lot more folks, even in Texas, to come out and vote and win this election.
Well, my word is niche, as in like niche audience. Rudy, what's your word?
You know, Stephen, a lot of media outlets have used the word surrogate for Musk and Cuban, but based on what Cuban told you just then, I think I'll go with repackaging.
Okay. Greg, what about you?
Stephen, I'm going to go with leverage.
All right. The Fox X Trio will talk a lot more about the tech bros on the other side of this break. The Fox Texas Trio is back. Greg, will the injection of some really rich guys resonate with voters when the economy is a top issue?
Stephen, maybe, maybe not, but certainly the billions to burn characters are making the stretch run more interesting. I mean, those $1 million checks Elon Musk is handing out in swing states to random folks who signed his pro-Trump PAC petition certainly represent a new electoral wrinkle, albeit fueled by that very old human quality, greed. Seriously, the world's richest man handing out seven-figure checks without even blinking and clearly confident it will boost conservative interest and ultimately turn out in these razor-close elections. I mean, who would possibly find fault with that being a potentially deciding factor, and who is ultimately chosen to lead the entire free world? You can't make this stuff up. It's literally bread and circuses, 21st century style.
We're definitely in interesting times. Rudy, Elon Musk has a huge following. Mark Cuban has his own type of large following. What does this say to you about the campaigns putting both of these guys forward?
Well, I just, coattailing a little bit of what Greg said, I'm kind of disappointed that Texas isn't in play and we're all missing out on that $1 million opportunity, right? What a bummer. The purpose, for the Musk-Trump team up, really seems to be more about poking the political bear to me. Work that spin that, the world is against them. The purpose for Cuban's team up, it seems to be more of an attempt to help Harris distance herself from her own words. So instead of flip-flops from her, Cuban repackages what Harris has said for us. A recent poll, though, I saw indicates a lot of struggling small business owners are not necessarily buying what Cuban is selling, Stephen.
Greg, 1 week down for early voting, we saw some large lines and turnout in certain pockets of the state. Republicans are doing something different this year. They're encouraging their base to show up early. Do you think Republicans are hearing that and showing up early? Because typically, historically, Democrats are the ones who vote early.
Yeah, heck if I can tell, Stephen. But what I do know is that all the truly legitimate pollsters have injected guardrails in their surveys to make sure they don't underreport Trump voters like many did in 2016. Now, as for Republicans now encouraging early voting after years of trashing it as vulnerable to fraud, well, the GOP may get bitten in these tight races with the confusion generated by the new instructions and their own lingering, unsubstantiated post-2020 fixed election rhetoric. I mean, which is it, guys? Is it all fixed now, or maybe it was never seriously broken?
Definitely mixed messages there. Rudy, do you agree?
Yeah, although I don't know if it's necessarily a mixed message now. I think the Republicans learned a lesson because of all that negative talk they were talking about early voting early on. And it really killed them in regards to the red tsunami that was nothing but a ripple. And so I think that they learned their lesson, and it's interesting to see how that's playing out. At the polling places that I went to that were Republican strongholds, the lines day after day after day were long. So they clearly have gotten the message. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out all the way to Election Day. As for what Greg said in regards to the polls, I agree 100%. I have spoken to several analysts who say that they're very concerned about an undercount of Trump supporters and all the polling that's been done lately. People who are just like going, yeah, I can't admit it, out loud, but I'm going to vote for Trump, type of thing. So, there could be a miscount, just like what Greg mentioned during the poll saying that Clinton was going to beat Trump, and that didn't happen. And there's real concern that that may happen again.
Real quick, guys, there, you mentioned miscount with Trump supporters, right? Could there be a miscount with Gen Z voters? I mean, I have some Gen Z people in my newsroom and my brothers in that era. Are these people included in these polls, or will we still have to be proven wrong? Will pollsters have to be proven wrong, Greg and Rudy, as to will young people actually show up in this election this time?
All right, Stephen, call me an old fart, but I'll believe it when I see it.
That's all the time we have. To see this episode or any of our past ones, go to our station's YouTube channel.
And keep the conversation going on our social media accounts.
Next week, we have a final sit down with Colin Allred and Ted Cruz before Election Day. We will see you next week. In the meantime, don't forget to let us know what you think the issue is.